Hi, I'm Janelle Schnacker, and welcome to my presentation, Finding the Why, a qualitative inquiry into K-12 librarian motivation for AI use. So, the central question of our study is what motivational factors shape K-12 school librarians' decisions to either engage or avoid with AI tools in professional practice. And so, three subtopics tie into the central question. Professional identity. So, how does the credential level shape a librarian's orientation towards AI? Also, institutional contexts, things like network access and admin support. How do those shape motivation to engage with AI? And then the role perception of AI itself. Is it viewed as an efficiency tool or a threat to librarian expertise? So, when we look at the current landscape of the literature surrounding school libraries and AI usage, Hossein and Hertel had an international survey that shows significant variation in AI literacy and readiness among school librarians, but it doesn't explain the why behind it. North American librarians hold complex views of AI. They range from cautious optimism all the way to fears of displacement, as we found in Picas's study. Librarians also embed AI within their information literacy frameworks. So, as Wong and Chu found, professional identity shapes AI adoption with librarians. But here's the research gap. K-12 librarians are often absent from this educator AI research, but they sit at a very interesting intersection of information literacy, curriculum support, and technology leadership. And so, without understanding their motivation for AI usage, professional development could remain misaligned, and librarians ultimately stay underrepresented within this important conversation about AI and education. So, the theoretical framework behind our study is social constructivism. Vygotsky claimed that knowledge and meaning are actively constructed through social interaction and cultural context. And so, librarians construct their motivation around AI. It's not a fixed trait. And so, also tying in with our instrument development is going to be Ryan and Deci's self determination theory and Wigfield and Eccles' expectancy-value theory, which are key theories about motivation that will tie into our interview questions. When we look at our study setting, we're going to hold virtual interviews over Zoom with K-12 librarians across the state of Texas. And so using Zoom will enable geographic diversity without the headache of travel. And we will also be able to accommodate the very busy academic calendar that school librarians face. With the broader context, when we look at AI policy throughout the state of Texas, there is broad variation in its implementation. Economic constraints limit PD access. There's social pressure around academic honesty and privacy concerns. There's also legal concerns regarding FERPA data and copyright within AI usage. And so, educational fields oftentimes expect technological leadership from librarians. So, when we look at our target population, we're hoping to interview about 10 to 15 K 12 school librarians currently employed in Texas. And we want to incorporate a variety of professional classifications, school levels, community types, years of experience, and prior AI training. Our data collection methods will incorporate phenomenological inquiry. So, we're going to basically allow the K 12 school librarian to narrate their lived experience regarding AI motivation. And we're going to do that through two basic steps. First, we'll have a screener survey that will be distributed through professional librarian networks like AASL and TLA, and this is solely for the purpose of sampling to create a diverse sample set of participants. Then we'll have semi-structured interview protocols. And so our interview questions will have four thematic sections. We'll have narrative prompts to get our participants talking about their AI usage. Then we'll move into expectancy value theory constructs, self-determination theory constructs, and then professional judgment scenarios. So the duration will be about 45 to 60 minutes over Zoom. And when you look at the overall timeline of our study, it's going to be about 9 months from approval through IRB to submission of manuscripts. But the key part here is steps 2 and 3, that screener survey and the data collection. We really tried to time that to be at an optimal time for educators within the school year. So our data analysis method is a collaborative thematic analysis. So it's team-based coding where we will independently code, create the code book, and then come to a consensus and form thematic clusters. The research team will be comprised of myself as the team lead. I will be in charge of interviewing, coding, and the manuscript write-up at the end. And then our co-coders will be Dr. Gunn and Dr. Yu from UNT. They will be part of our coding team. They will work towards consensus and they will review the final manuscript. To address trustworthiness within our study, we're going to offer member checking to our participants so they can review the thematic clustering that we come up with. We're going to offer a thick description for context. We'll have an audit trail. We will be transparent about our positionality. We'll have a multi-coder structure and then practice reflexivity throughout our process. In terms of our IRB status, the submission is pending, but we anticipate an expedited review. To protect our participants, we will de-identify upon transcription, so pseudonyms will be assigned. We'll delete recordings after verification of transcripts, and data will be stored in an encrypted university-managed cloud for 3 years. For the informed consent, participation is voluntary. The consent forms disclose all of our dissemination plans. And as I mentioned before, we're going to offer member checking to our participants. And then we will also verify that there is no financial relationship or conflict of interest with AI vendors amongst our team. To handle the concerns of bias, we will have subjectivity statements drafted by all of our team members. That multi-coder structure and consensus process will limit interpretation bias. And then we're going to pay deliberate attention to those divergent perspectives that can emerge through the interview process. In terms of my own positionality, I do have a background in library science and educational technology, so that does create a potential orientation for me to view librarians naturally as AI literacy leaders. So this is disclosed and it's going to be managed through those practices that I mentioned before. So, our projected findings. Ultimately, we anticipate that professional identity is going to play a major role in how AI is viewed by librarians. We also anticipate that institutional and structural components are going to serve as a major contextual moderator of AI motivation. We also anticipate that components of self determination theory, like autonomy, competence, and relatedness, will really be the determining factors between librarians who sustain AI engagement and those who disengage from it. And then expectancy value theory, we think that that's going to play a major role in how librarians balance the possible benefits versus the risks of AI usage. So, in conclusion, K 12 librarians are understudied and they're incredibly complex. So, the idea of transferring teacher research onto their field isn't going to work. And so, this social constructivism combined with self determination theory and expectancy value theory is really going to allow a contextual understanding of librarian motivation. And our qualitative method is going to help us dig into the why behind those decisions. Now, in terms of limitations, it's 10 to 15 librarians, so generalizing the data is going to be a bit of a challenge. Also, self-report data could reflect idealized motivation patterns. Since we're focusing on the state of Texas, the transferability geographically is going to be limited. Also, with AI advancing as quickly as it does, the shelf life of our findings is a concern. And then the researcher bias that I mentioned before will be actively managed throughout the study. So, the intended audience for our findings. Peer-reviewed journals like School Library Research and Journal of Librarianship and Information Science, as well as conference presentations like AASL National Conference through ALA, or TLA or Site Conference, but also professional channels for practitioners. The ASL Knowledge Quest newsletter, or even library science programs for pre-service design could find usage with our findings. So thank you for viewing my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to post your questions in the discussion board, and I look forward to engaging with you. And if you would like to learn more about the studies that have contributed to this plan, feel free to check out my references. Thank you so much.